Good morning, Rav.
Good morning, David. It's great being here again.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you for coming in and honoring us. So
my honor and pleasure.
Thank you. Shabbat just gone. I'm sitting at the back of the shul, and I walk in, and you're in the middle of you're in full flow of your drasha. I didn't know you were going to speak about 𝗔𝗕𝗏 𝗞𝗵, and I grabbed you afterwards, and I said that was very special and very eye-opening, very spiritual. And I said, we got to do a podcast on this topic. It's coming up. 𝗔𝗕𝗏 𝗞𝗵 for me, it's a chag, but it's not a chag in the full sense of the word.
Sure. And
it's a bit of a strange one, 𝗔𝗕𝗏 𝗞𝗵, because it isn't really, maybe you can give a little bit of background about it.
Absolutely.
But it's very connected with the land of Israel. It's fruit. It's the land. Right. So maybe just start by telling us what's the background to 𝗔𝗕𝗏 𝗞𝗵? How is it instituted? And then we'll go from there.
Sure. Actually, I think it's a fascinating story by itself, and it will bring us right even to what you call spiritual stuff, right. Just the historical background. I'll just say spiritual, but dafka, that's the power of the chag, that it's not only spiritual. Right. It's about the connection between the spiritual, or even seeing the spirituality and the material as one thing, just like in a different, in a total different domain area. Donald Winnicott, I'm speaking with a British person here. So right. Donald Winnicott said that when a baby is born, he's a psychisoma. It's one entity.
Oh, okay.
So we'll take that model in that sense.
And we'll go from there.
But let's go historically. 𝗔𝗕𝗏 𝗞𝗵 is a very, as we say, a nistar holiday, a covered holiday. As you said, it's not mentioned as a holiday in the Torah, and neither in the sages, we have to say. The Chazal, they only say that there are 4 new years. There's a Mishnah at the beginning of Rosh Hashanah. There are 4 new years. It's Aleph Tishrei, that is known, Rosh Hashanah. There's Aleph Nisan, which is the Rosh Hashanah for kings and other things. And for months, we know that the Chodesh HaRishon is Nisan. And then there are 2 others, Rosh Hashanah LaIlanot, whatever that means. That's Beit Shammai say it's Aleph Shvat, so we're already past there. And Beit Hillel that we rule like is say 𝗔𝗕𝗏 𝗞𝗵. And then there's Aleph Elul, according to one opinion, is Rosh Hashanah, the first of Elul, to Maaser Behemah, the tithe of animals. Now, did you ever hear that people are celebrating as a holiday Aleph Elul due to the fact that it's Rosh Hashanah L'Maser Behemah?
I never heard that.
So it's not a holiday. Meaning that Mishnah itself doesn't speak about a holiday. It's just a date. It's a date that serves halachically as a cutoff for Meiser. Any fruit that started growing out, Chanata, we call it, like a little blossoming. Right. Before 𝗔𝗕𝗏 𝗞𝗵 belongs to the previous year of the Meiser, and every fruit that it does it after 𝗔𝗕𝗏 𝗞𝗵 belongs to the other year of Meiser, and that has halachic implications. But that's like Meiser Behemah, meaning it's not a holiday. All right.
It's a means of calculating.
Right.
Tithes.
It doesn't say, the Mishnah doesn't say that it's a holiday that you celebrate, just like Aleph Elul is not a holiday.
Right.
But then, first of all, in the Hasidish, already in the Hasidish circles, they saw, it's a month before Purim. There were all kinds of signs and secrets regarding it, and the minhag was to eat fruit and to make blessings on the fruit. Naturally,
not on Rosh Chodesh Shvat.
No, on 𝗔𝗏 𝗞𝗵.
So you get through into Shvat,
right?
And then it falls in the middle.
The middle of Shvat, like Beit Hillel are ruling that's the Rosh Hashanah for the trees.
Right.
Now the next step is secular Zionism. I'm saying, of course, it's also religious Zionism, but that was a very special day, obviously, when we, with the merit of Hashem, with the great chesed that Hashem did to us, that we returned to our homeland after 2,000 years, this miraculous and mysterious action, Dafka led by secular atheists, even some of them atheist people, that were busy building the land and planting trees in it. So they took Tu B'Shvat as a holiday of planting trees. Now, there is no commandment to plant a tree on Tu B'Shvat. I'll share with you a story. When I was a little kid in elementary school, and we had a neighbor. We were in a store. We had a building with several floors, and 2 floors above us there was a totally secular family. And when one day my mom we were in first floor, they were in third floor. So in the middle of Tu B'Shvat, the little kid yelled to her and said, "𝗥 Kannai," she knew she's a frum lady. Did you plant a tree today? Meaning that was
their thing.
Now, we could laugh at it, but actually here you see the Ruach HaKodesh of the people, because there is a famous midrash in Vayikra, in Parshat Kedoshim, the commandment about orla, a tree that has to have 4 years before you use its fruit.
Right.
And it starts, "V'chi tavo'u el ha'aretz unta'atem kol etz ma'achal v'araltem," and then you should, in the 4th year, the fruit is holy. Now, the way the Torah presents the background to the mitzvah is when you will come to the land and you will plant a tree. But the wording is as if it's a commandment. It's not counted. When you'll come to the land, unta'atem kol etz ma'achal, then you should plant a tree. So it wasn't counted as a mitzvah, but the midrash there, not my secular neighbor, the midrash there says, how do you cling to God? How do you attach to God? Just like God, you walk in his ways. Just like God, the first thing he did when he created the world is planting Gan Eden. You also should be busy as you enter the land in planting trees. So you see the positive view of our sages about being active, planting the physical tree
with the land
and building the land of Israel.
Right.
So secular Zionism actually, with their own intuition, connected to an ancient source, this midrash, and related to it. Now, the last story I want to tell you about this. So, of course, that was a very important day, and then it developed to, in religious service, Seder Tu B'Shvat, that we are sitting and eating fruit and blessing fruits and eating Shivat Aminim, etc.
Isn't it true? And I think I heard this through the people involved with the forest, the environment in Ramot. Millions of trees were planted from the early 1900s. Sure. This is the JNF. Sure. This is the KKL, or all this. So it was even before the state.
Sure.
Jews were getting busy.
Here's the story. Rav 𝗥 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗥 𝗔𝗕, this holy man, was invited. And that was well before the state was established. He passed away before the state.
1935,
yeah, right?
35.
And he was invited by the Keren Kayemet on Tu B'Shvat.
Oh, wow.
To plant a tree.
Wow.
And he did it with an awe on his face and was so excited. And people don't, it's the same expression on your face as when you're reading Kriyat Shema.
Wow.
And then he quoted that midrash that I just quoted to you.
Very nice.
I'm now walking in the ways of God.
Beautiful.
I'm doing so exactly. And I'll just end with when I was in Memphis, Tennessee. Now I'm talking about Chutz La'aretz. So I was looking to what kind of event I can do as a Rosh Kollel Torah Mitzion, religious Zionist Kollel, that could unite all the Jews in Memphis, including Reform and Conservative. And I said, we'll do a Tu B'Shvat event.
Smart.
A Tu B'Shvat event. We did it in the JCC. It was a Siyata Deshmaya. It was a tremendous success. We had everyone there.
Because it levels the playing field, meaning everyone's on the same level, because it's the earth, it's fruit,
and its connection to the land of Israel.
And its connection, yeah.
And that captured, you see, the same, these people that were pioneers
Right.
and came here to Israel, even though they didn't connect it then
To the Torah.
to the Torah, though they did connect it to tradition, of course, and
Which they did on many things.
on many levels.
Ben
And
Gurion was busy with
Sure.
all this stuff all the time,
Sure.
but without,
So-
yeah.
So that was also an opportunity to
Right.
unite the community around Israel, around the fruits of Israel.
So what do we try and do on Tu B'Shvat? What are we trying to achieve? Okay, we're making the bracha on the different fruits and stuff, but ultimately, like, to get the best out the day or the most out the day, where should be our intention? And
I think that we have here an opportunity, a tremendous opportunity, to connect two things that I'll now mention them separately, but actually they're intertwined. One is chibur to Am Yisrael. I'm dafka maybe starting with the second thing, but because that is following what I said about the event I did in Memphis, but also here in Israel. That here you see when my neighbor asks my mother, "Did you plant a tree today?" So here we are all uniting around our common goal of building the land of Israel, building the state of Israel, and without too many cheshbonos about what kind of Jew is this, and is he different than me? And I see the positivity in every Jew that he has such a high desire to improve the world and to improve, and specifically to build the land of Israel.
and to make it into something. This chibur is a simple connection.
Right. So that's one point, which is, I think, intertwined with the deep point of Tu B'Shvat that I started with about the psychosoma. But the fact that by returning to our land after 2,000 years, we're healing from something, and that is the separation between the body and the soma, the psyche and the soma, the body and the mind, the spirituality.
Is that what soma means? I've never heard that.
What?
What does, when you mean soma?
Soma is body.
Is
Somatic, like we're
Okay.
saying psyche. Okay,
Psychosomatic.
somatic. Yeah,
Right,
that's
okay.
what I meant. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right.
But what I want to say is that, and Rav Kook writes about it a lot. When we went to exile, obviously our existence was really spiritual. We were a spiritual nation, which is great, and we've done a lot of accomplishments because of that focus on spirituality. There was a need for that, perhaps. The Hashgacha did it.
Making good in the exile, basically.
In that sense, I'm not like Ben Gurion. It's important to say that he negated the exile. As far as he's concerned, there was the Tanakh, and then we jumped to 2,000 years
To the state
where
of Israel.
we're just a waste of time. I mean, I'm exaggerating it a little bit. No. The Babylonian Talmud, the so many spiritual that were needed
to survive.
and not only to build Judaism. I mean, it's very, very important.
I mean, that's the Judaism we effectively have now.
Absolutely.
Although now we're back. Our focus is to now to make the chibur. Yeah.
Connect. But exactly as you said, of course, Mi'pnei chataenu galinu me'artzenu. Due to our sins, we were expelled from our land. When you read the book of Devarim, you see what is the ideal. When Maimonides is the Rambam is busy with the question, where is Olam Haba in the Torah? Now you need to understand that this question is especially pressing for the Rambam because the Rambam thinks that the ideal world at the end is just a world of spirits without bodies. He's a little bit unique on that. He was criticized for that by the Ravid and others. But that's the Rambam. The Rambam, I think, also influenced by Aristotelian views. Material is basically a negative thing. And therefore, then the question is, why are all the rewards in the Torah, in the book of Dvarim, are material? You'll have your land, and you'll have fruits, and just think about V'haya im shamoa. V'haya im shamoa. It doesn't say that if you'll follow my ways, then you will say a good teretz on the Rambam.
Right.
That doesn't say that.
Your soul will become enlarged.
It says that you'll have
plenty.
Ve'achalta v'savata uverachta. That's Sefer Devarim, and the Rambam, of course, it challenges him, and his answer is that no. The real end, the real reward is the spirituality level that you reach, philosophically and in terms of your midot, and the material reward is just instrumental in order to have the peace of mind.
Well, he didn't even see it as a means to an end, meaning we know that it's said in the Torah that the real reward is in the world to come. Okay, now we assume the world to come.
But that doesn't say in the Torah shebechtav. What you're saying now, there's not a word about it in the Torah shebechtav.
Right.
Okay, there's some midrashim, and very important, but I want to...
And so Pirkei Avot talks about it.
Okay, Pirkei Avot says a complex statement. It says, יפה שעה אחת בעולם הזה מכל חיי העולם הבא, ויפה שעה אחת של קורת רוח בעולם הבא מכל חיי העולם הזה. Meaning, it's a dialectical statement, which is very typical of Pirkei Avot, but that's different.
But also, this world is compared to a lobby.
Right, absolutely.
Entering into something else. Now, that something else, that I've always assumed that Olam Haba, not Olam HaNeshamot, when after your death or whatever, but there will be a higher connection in a physical sense after many years. Like, this world's not going to just disappear. It's slightly weird.
Here, your view is very interesting, and I think it resonates with a lot of Jewish thinkers, but the Rambam didn't hold that way.
Didn't hold that way.
The Rambam, I told you that I think it's also influenced by Aristotelian views, but he had suspicion towards the material, which, by the way, I can share. We know we all have taivas, and at any rate, therefore, he was pressed to answer that all the physical rewards written on Sefer Dvarim are instrumental just to give you. You have sovereignty, you have fruit, just that no one will bother you, and then you could deal with philosophy and getting close to God. However, it's definitely not the pshat.
Right.
It's like, I'll say it in Hebrew, ha'ikar chaser min hasefer, according to the Rambam. The main thing is absent from the text.
Right.
And therefore, it's more appealing to me, and I think here I follow the view of Rav Kook, but not only of Rav Kook, that the ideal is that the people of Israel are returning to their land, building it physically. But the thing is that it's one thing. The physical, we call it if we speak about the individual, nefesh b'ri'ah beguf bari. A healthy nefesh in a healthy body. It's a very intuitive thing, meaning that dichotomy between ruach and chomer, material and spirituality, we say there is no dichotomy. Yeah, we're living in a spiritual land. We are getting close to God by planting trees,
physical acts,
and a body could be holy. You know, when it's a challenge, but it's possible. When Rav Kook passed away in his levaya, his wife said, "Where do you find such a holy body?"
Dafka, she said.
That's what she said. I think it, as you see,
meaning if you use your body correctly for spiritual Torah pursuits, mitzvot, ma'asim tovim, this is all we've got. We're not floating around here. We actually do have bodies. We all know it. If you lived a moment in the world, you realize this is who I am. So it feels like it should have some purpose. And if the ultimate purpose is a spiritual one, then why not? Why not channel? Look, this podcast, these microphones,
Sure.
these are all physical things, and we're speaking words of Torah, so it feels like it's using things properly.
Associatively, I was invited several months ago to give a psychology course in a very new and unique initiative. It's very exciting. There is a guy, Haredi. He founded, like he's now starting it, like a Wingate, Machon Wingate,
Yeah, and the sports, yeah.
For young Haredi people.
Specifically sports for Haredi?
Being them sport teachers.
Okay.
And also Krav Maga.
Wow.
Meaning a lot of activity with the body. So I'm meaning, and
did you speak to him? Did you?
Of course, I'm.
Okay, so what was his motivation?
The way we got connected is the fact that he was a former student of mine for psychology, and that's how that's why he invited me to give the psychology course in that college that he founds now.
Right, I understand. So what was his motivation? Because the way you presented it just now was like, this is playing outside of the normality, the normal realm that you would think. As we see, it's not. It's not a criticism. It's just an observation.
Right.
They don't participate in athletics or sport.
And he knows that he's doing a pioneer. That he is a pioneer. Look, there were several motivations for what he did. I think part of it also that he actually saved some lost souls. Like I taught there. It was a great class. They were so polite and so curious. I had a great experience there. But these kids, if you would look at them, let's say 4 years beforehand, I think they had a lot of ADHDs and all kinds of stuff like that. So here, that sounds like a means, as you say. But I think that he went a step further. That he really... And he looks at the sources also, and he sees how health is when the body and the mind are not two separate things. Right. I mentioned it on Shabbat that you said that actually one of the symptoms of someone who was abused physically is being only in his mind. I'm not saying that everyone, but that's a possibility. One option for a symptom could be a symptom that someone is because he was hurt in the body. He doesn't feel his body almost. He doesn't connect it. He's living in his mind only. That's an extreme.
What do you mean dealing with the trauma of what happened?
Yeah,
just living in his head.
Yeah, meaning he's not dealing with it. The thing is that he's, let's say,
trapped in
an analyst describes how we had such a patient that the first 3 years of the analysis, he was just busy arguing with him about everything, like a game, a cognitive game,
right.
Enterprise.
Right.
But he didn't live in his body. That's the point. He didn't live in his body. Oh. And you're now, by the way, he called, it's Thomas Ogden. He called his article, his short article, Reminding the Body. It's a game, reminding the body. So I think that we're talking here about people going back to their land and living normal life, normal material life, having a normal state, a Jewish sovereign state, but that will illustrate to the world, and that's our mission. That's the mission that Avraham Avinu. Rav Kook writes in a note, what is the chiddush of Avraham Avinu? After all, there were individuals who were tzaddikim, like Shem and Aver. He said that he wanted to found a nation that is God-worshipping, a nation that implements the godly ideas in this world, and a nation has to deal with material aspects. An individual could just go to the desert, fast, Buddhist,
Yeah,
but
whatever.
a nation has to deal with economy, with politics, and with different kinds of people, with different levels of intelligence, with different talents, and creating a group, a nation, a mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. So Rav Kook says, it is possible to implement the spiritual ideas or to have a connection. That connection, it's possible, and therefore we're obligated to do it. That's our mission. Since it is possible, then we're actually required. That's the mission. That's the message of the state of the people of Israel.
Is that really the cornerstone of religious Zionism? It qualifies a religious approach to what the Zionists created, because it combines and it connects to this original idea, and without it, the thing itself, like you referenced Avraham Avinu, it just can't be fulfilled. Like it's all part of the same thing. You need the physical, but without the spiritual, then the nation hasn't been created.
Right. You need the both. You are living. Living means, chayim. We know, Re'eh Anochi noten lifnechem et hachayim ve'et hatov ve'et hamavet ve'et hara uvacharta b'chayim. Chayim, look, material is what we call a domem. Inanimate. Inanimate, exactly. So there's no life. That's so chayim is a sersa dibros. Chayim is the values. Chayim is the spirituality. But you live in the body. That's the way it is. Death means exile, or on the personal level, when the neshama separates from the body. That's the way it is. And when you say about religious Zionism, I'll just say, there was a very nice piece of Rav Soloveitchik in the his whole essay, which is a great essay, Lonely Man of Faith.
Yeah.
He speaks there about Adam 1 and Adam 2. And Adam 1 is the technological Adam, the one that advances the world, improves the world.
The worldly
with
man.
Science.
The worldly man, yeah.
With science, developing it. Now, one of his big chidushim there is that both Adams, both the covenantal man, which is Adam 2, and that scientific man, we'll call it, they're both Ovdei Hashem. They're both implementing, fulfilling
the purpose.
A purpose. So that could also be a basis for religious Zionism, right? However, and here's the difference. Rav Soloveitchik here talks about in universal,
right?
In universal, meaning a man living in America, in England, doesn't even have to be Jewish, and he's a God worshiper. By the way, of course it is that way. I'm saying that this is not wrong. This is right. He prays to God. Let's say has a dialogue with God. That's chapter 2. Submits himself to God, chapter 2, Adam 2, and also is working in the world, in the material world, improving it, Adam 1. What Rav Kook here speaks about is about the fact that by creating a normal nation in a territory, in the land of Israel, having a nation with economy, army, politics, etc.
Specifically in the land. That was
as Jews,
chosen.
As Jews, by that we are actually saving the world, because we're bringing the message that the link between material and spiritual, and the ability to sanctify the material is possible. We're doing it on a national level.
Is the land itself? This is a hard one for people to get their head around. You have to allow yourself to. I'm not saying go into fantasy, but is the land itself kadosh? you referenced you and others. Rav Noam also speaks. Anyone who speaks about this topic will speak about this. What I'm about to say. The land was desolate when we were not here. Mm-hmm. It's a very, very, very important. We never said that. Even Mark Twain said it. He's like the famous one. Now that sounds like, because when we came back, and you can expand on this because you spoke about it on Shabbat. When we came back, the land responded to us, to our efforts. Now, the non-Jews that were here, it didn't work. You know, even the Arabs in Gaza, they used to say, whether they say that now, I doubt, but they said there will be something will happen here because of you, and Gush Katif was that.
Absolutely.
So, is there something? It's a rhetorical question because it sounds like the land itself is holy and responds only to its partner.
Yeah, it is a secret. As I said, Tu B'Shvat is a holiday that it was not overt. It's not explicit in there. And here we have kind of the same, following that. That's the secret of the land. And the spiritual aspect of the land. That's why I said psyche soma. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is something I quoted, if you remember, in the shir on Shabbat, how the Bach, the Beit Chadash or Biol Circus, explains that the fruit have Shechina in them, have divine. That's why you could say in the bracha, v'nochal mipirya v'nisba mituva, that eating the fruit of the land of Israel, you're connecting to something spiritual. Now that sounds very radical, but if we look at the fact that the land didn't respond to anyone, as you said, and it responds, it's a covenantal land. I'll just say, here remember the Midrash that I started with, made an analogy between God planting trees in Gan Eden and we planting tree in the land of Israel. And that analogy between Gan Eden and the land of Israel is a known analogy. But it's made there explicitly in the Midrash. And
wait, is that saying that the Eretz Yisrael is Gan Eden?
Right. But the simple wording, as I said, is that you're telling you should follow the ways of God, just as he planted trees in Gan Eden, you should plant trees in Israel. Now, if we look at that, at the Parsha of Gan Eden, so there is a famous Midrash that speaks about when there's the creation of the trees and the fruit. It says, "Etz pri oseh pri leminehu." A tree of tree, oseh pri. And the Midrash is tam ha'etz ketam ha'pri.
Oh yeah, this is
the taste of the
bark of the trunk
of the trunk. Yeah, of the branch. The taste of the bark of the branch will be as
same.
Now, Rav Kook explains that secret language of the Midrash is that in the ideal state that we're striving to, the branch is the means towards the end. The fruit is the end. The branch is the means to it, or the trunk. You will see the holiness or the end already in the means.
Right.
So you will taste the taste of the end already in the means.
Very
so
nice.
That will be Tama Etz Ketama Pri. That's also Tu B'Shvat. You understand? That's what we're about.
Understand. Do you think, if we look at history, Uganda was proposed and did not happen. Mm-hmm. They didn't like it. I mean, Herzog got a little bit excited because they're like, let's get something. Let's just get this project started.
Even the Mizrahi.
Yes, I know.
Were excited.
I know, right? Which is strange. But
and Dafka, some secular Zionists, they said, "You're missing the boat." It's
crazy. It's interesting though. But that's the point I was about to make: is that we innately we're driven to it. It doesn't matter what level of religiosity. I mean, look who's made Aliyah. Okay, this is a complex conversation, the history of Aliyah, the original socialists. Forget that. Just the Jew. The Jew, without committing to Torah mitzvah, Ben Gurion, all of them.
Right.
No, we've got to do it there. There's something brewing, secretly pushing them innately, calling the land. It's like the land is calling you, and I must come down and I must come to it.
I have several things to say about that, if you allow me. The Rav Breuer taught us, I heard it from him personally, he was a big Tanakh commentator and a Talmud Chacham in general. As you know, Avraham Avinu made Aliyah, right? And it says, Lech Lecha. But really, the beginning of the Aliyah starts at the end of Parshat Noach. At the end of Parshat Noach, it says that his father took him, and it says explicitly, in order to get to Eretz Canaan. That's before the commandment of Lech Lecha. I mean, the way it's presented in the Torah. That Terach took Avraham, his son, and his family, and they started going towards Lalechet Arza Canaan. And then they got stuck in Haran. And then Terach passed away. Then there is the Lech Lecha. Rav Breuer is saying, and then, of course that has to do with his methodology, unique methodology of interpreting Tanakh. There are two aliyot of Avraham, actually, two stories, and he shows how the two stories are continuing. In Parshat Lech Lecha, some psukim are a continuation of the story that started at the end of Noach. Some psukim are the continuation of the story that starts in the beginning of Lech Lecha. One aliyah was a natural aliyah. The Jew, just the land called him. And another aliyah is that God commanded you, right, Lech Lecha. But it's two stories of aliyah. And of course, in reality, they're intertwined. But the thing is that it even says there, Lalechet Arz, the Terach started going journey to Arza Canaan. Is there any reason why he did it? The pasuk doesn't tell any reason, whether it was economical or it was dangerous.
He just was going.
And he was just going. And the Rav Breuer says that's exactly the point.
It's very nice.
It's just, he's going because that's the secret of the land and the secret and the covenantal land and the relationship between the people of Israel, which the land of Israel is not just a means, as Rav Kook says, to building a nation. There is something alive there, and with the covenant with God and the people, it's all one thing. Now, I want to add another thing to the plate, and that is a famous Gemara in Brachot. Rav Chisda and Rav Amnuna they got a plate with dates and pomegranates. And Rav Chisda saw that Rav Amnuna made a blessing first on the pomegranate. Now he was very surprised because he knew there is a verse in Dvarim, a pasuk, about Shivat Aminim, the seven special species of the land of Israel. Eretz 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗧 𝗔𝗕𝗓 𝗔𝗕 v'rimon. Eretz 𝗔𝗕𝗢𝗧, excuse me, I made a mistake. He first benched on the date, not on the pomegranate. Right. Now, if you look at the pasuk, the date is the last one in the pasuk. Yeah, a land of chita, sorah, and defen te'ena v'rimon, eretz �𝗕𝗢𝗧. The rimon is mentioned, the pomegranate is mentioned before the date. So Rav Chisda expected that Rav Amnuna will first make a bracha on the pomegranate.
In fulfillment of the order in which
because
the Torah
we assume that the order of the fruit in the pasuk
is the correct.
Is the precedence.
Yeah.
And then Rav Hamnuna answered him and told him, no, there is two times that the word Eretz, land, is mentioned there. Eretz, chita usora vegefen vetena verimon, and then Eretz, zeit shemen udvash. So the date is actually close to the second Eretz. There's only olives. It says a land of olives and dates. So the date is close, and whereas the pomegranate
It's further away from the word.
Further away from the word Eretz, the first Eretz.
Right.
And Rav Chisda was so excited by the answer. He said, let us have boots of iron and we'll follow you, which is something like that.
Right.
Now, Rav Kook gives an amazing interpretation about it that has to do with the first point that we mentioned about these people, these secular people that are with that secret attracted and building and are busy building the land and are busy
and defending the land.
B'diuk, that's what I wanted to say. And Moser Nefesh on the land.
Fighting for the land.
Nefesh on the land.
Which is very relevant to right now.
Extremely relevant. And they're our brothers, and we're together with them in the same units. And they're fighting for our lives, and we're fighting for their lives. The friendships that I have from the paratroops, is
for life,
cannot be explained even in words.
No.
Now, what happens is that he said, you know what's going on here with that? He explains that Agada, Rav Kook, and he says, the first 5 species, 𝗥𝗃 𝗔𝗕 𝗥𝗃 𝗔𝗕, it's 5. So he says that is corresponding to Chamisha Chumshei Torah, to the 5 books of the Torah. And therefore, that talks about someone that is connected to the land spiritually. And the second 2, Eretz, the last 2, Eretz Zeit Shemen Udvash, the land of olives and dates, these are about the people that are connected to the land. Their interest is just to build it physically. And he says, whereas, of course, the level, the virtue of the first 5 is bigger, because that is a higher connection to the land than just interested in just building it physically. However, we see the importance of that, and he says to that extremity that someone that is away, like the date, but he's in the physical realm, he has precedence over the pomegranate, even though he is on a high level connected, but he's further from the land. He's more away from the land
because he's more in the spiritual,
and therefore the date will have the precedence symbolically, and then the reaction of Rav Chisda is, we should follow you with boots of
iron.
Let's have like you, maybe he says, I don't remember exactly, boots of iron, meaning that you know how to connect, to understand this idea, the vitality of that material land. So that is and that shows our love and our affection to the people. I just want to say one last comment about that. Yes, the beginning of the Zionist enterprise, or some of it, not beginning, because it starts also by religious people. I don't want to...
The development, let's say the development.
But the fact that in establishing the land, there were the leading forces were far from religion, we'll say it that way. Rav Kook also predicted, and I think he predicted correctly, that it won't stay forever, that other separation, meaning only material without Jewish spirituality here, meaning
it's a process,
that it won't last. And I think we see it, that he's right. We see today what's going on. We see today how the secular soldiers are busy saying Shema Yisrael before they go to the war. And we see the general turn to tradition
slowly
the land of Israel, not necessarily becoming frum,
right?
But you see it in the songs, you see it in Yishai Ribo,
right?
You see it. You see
through the culture,
the turn. I said already 15 years ago, my wife was in the tekes of Yom Ha'atzmaut. You know, there's always the ceremony in Har Herzl. The transition between the Memorial Day and Independence Day, and they gave a song to each decade, and the whole crowd sang powerfully, Misha Ma'amin Lo Mefached. And then at the end of the ceremony, there was an announcement. There is Ma'ariv here for those who want, of an official. And I thought, oh, what is Ben Gurion now thinking?
I was just about to say.
Because, yes, the land, the people, again, large segments of the people, the connection to tradition is part of their identity. It's very critical, and it's part of their ta'am, their meaning for why are they fighting for this land. They're not fighting for a socialist Zionism.
No way.
If you'll take an average secular soldier here and you say, are you fighting here to establish a secular socialist state?
He'll laugh.
He'll ask you, where did he get from? And then you'll tell, no, I'm just asking you because historically, such and such years ago, that's what some of the founders, your first prime minister was speaking about it. He doesn't even know that. But he really does listen to the rabbi of the unit when he gives him encouragement and chizuk to go to fight. So history has its own ways, and now I think more and more that connection between the spirit and the body, the land and its fruits, and the state and its all the aspects of the state, of having a sovereign state, and as a manifestation of a Jewish state. I think we're moving more and more towards that.
This particular conversation is not really focused on what happened in October the 7th and since, but one comment is, along with what you're talking about, the war and everything that's happened, I think has naturally thrown up the question to Jews, not just here, but across the world, of asking, so what is Israel? Like, what's this really about? Mm-hmm. We have to find, as terrible as it all has been for all of us in different ways, the good that is coming out of it.
Absolutely.
Is, if you want to see the good, which we do, is challenging the identity of the Jew, and the state of Israel. What are we doing? Like, what's the point of all of this? The conversation we've had today, I think, is very important because we're bringing it down to its bare nature.
Right.
Because its nature, even though that sounds like a chomer, it sounds like a material word, actually the very nature of the land is not just chomer. Mm-hmm. It is this spiritual reality that's beckoning, asking for this relationship. And I think that a lot of people may miss that. Mm-hmm. And I think to know this stuff, to learn like the Rav Kook Torah to Eretz Yisrael, it makes you fall in love with the land in a different way. Or maybe it clarifies.
Right.
Because remember, many people ran to the state of Israel in the last 80 years for all different reasons. The Tzfardim from the distant lands, the Russians, the original pioneers. Everyone had a different reason to come.
Right.
But I think this brings it all together.
Sure. And I think, as you said, it forces what happened in Simchas Torah on October 7th, forces Jews all around the world, not only the people that are living here, is what are we about? Who are we? I met people in New Jersey and New York. They feel, look, anti-Semitism is also a secret. You understand? Meaning, it is very hard to explain the phenomena.
Yeah.
There's always a different explanation, which means that the real explanation, if in every century or I don't know what era,
it changes.
The explanation was different. Well, that shows you that there is something
else going on.
Something else going on here, and it forces you to know who you are, where do you belong to, what are your values, what are you fighting for. We're speaking now about hostage deals, and we're in the middle of this, and we pray, of course, that all of them I know I'll say here even banal, simple things, but that's part of 𝗥𝗃 𝗔𝗏 𝗫 that we talk about.
Yeah, living.
You just compare the excitement of every Jew, not only the people that are living in Israel, as you know, to see hostages coming back.
It's unbelievable.
Compare that to what happened, to the pictures we saw last Thursday, exactly a week ago, in Khan Yunis.
Celebrating
not
death.
celebrating
The violence,
the accompanying
it's a nice way of saying
Arbel Yahud and of Moses, Gadi Moses,
Gadi Moses.
An 80-year-old, almost 81-year-old man, strong in spirit, extremely strong in spirit, and a hero, a lady, 29 years old, that was kept alone for 15 months, alone. Didn't see.
Insane.
That's a very hard Chevy. And even in their last minutes in Chevy, you see a mob actually around them.
Violent, extreme, death-orientated, bullying, everything negative about life.
Absolutely.
In fact, it's not life; it's something else.
Right. And as I think it was Hania who said it. We will beat the Israelis because they celebrate life and we celebrate death. Yeah. That's what he thought.
Wow.
No.
Good luck with that, my friend.
At last, we helped him celebrating his death.
Yeah, on your way, my friend.
But it reflects a vision that about an improper balance, I would say it. And here I'm saying a great understatement, but between what he sees as spirituality, because when I'm dead, so there's only spirit.
Right.
Spirituality, and even though they specifically believe that after the death you have some physical pleasures, but that's a different story. But
it's exactly what we've been saying.
Bidyuk. So
connecting the spiritual to the land, and we have to do it in the land.
Right. And that's why we celebrate a release of an 81-year-old man, that one of his first words after he was kept also a lot of time alone, and I don't know, really, for 15 months, saying, I will dedicate the rest of my life to rebuild Nir Oz.
It's amazing.
That's a statement that was said maybe an hour after it was released. I mean, you can't even comprehend this.
Incredible. That's the Jew.
Right.
The Jew. That's the Jew in the land.
The Jew in the land. Absolutely.
Rav, to summarize then in a short way, 𝗔 𗗏, we've talked about many things deep and just, it's all deep. There's no Torah without depth. But to go into 𝗔 𗏏, like what's a good feeling, like a general feeling, just say, this is how I'm going to approach it.
If I'm really, I'll say the most simple things, because first of all, a love for every Jew that is connecting himself and is willing to be Moser Nefesh, or stam to be a partner in building the land and in helping other Jews, as a brother, viewing him as a brother that I could have very, very serious disputes with, arguments, but a brother.
Always.
And that should be remembered. So that is one message. And of course, the passion to the land, the understanding that this land calls us, and we have a special, unique relationship to the land. You know, the same Rav Breuer said, an Italian says, I'm an Italian because I was born in Italy. A Jew doesn't say that. I am a Jew, and therefore I'm in Israel. Avraham Avinu was commanded to go to Israel before he was in Israel. So that we have a unique relationship to the land as a nation, as individuals. And lastly, on a more broad even level, Avodas Hashem, the Hasidus is talking about Avodas Hashem begashmiut. That we could worship God. Of course, we should control our material and body. We should control our bodies. But if you remember that statement that I started with of Rav Kook, how he connects the desire to have sweet fruits to a more spiritual wish to benefit the future generations, meaning seeing beyond the here and now. And these things should not be separated. It could be the vitality, the passion could be channeled, and not only channeled, you could elevate the desires, and that's part of your avodat Hashem. When you're repenting, or when you're doing tshuva, then you take the talents from your former life and use them as part of avodat Hashem. This is just an example,
right?
And I think that's also a message of Tu B'Shvat.
Did you also say, was it you or someone else? I think it was you. The actual another message of planting is that you won't see necessarily the outgrowth, but and it's a Jewish value. We're always when we're long gone. Ad 120.
That's also Tu B'Shvat. Seder Zraim. The Gemara says Seder Zraim. We know there's 6 volumes of the Mishnah. So the first volume is Zraim, seeds. Mm-hmm. It's called Seder Emunah.
Wow.
Ma'amin v'zorea. Because when you plant the seeds, you don't know, you have a belief that things will grow. And as you said, the Gemara in Tanit that Rav Kook is referring to about the old man that planted a tree, and someone asked him, who are you planting this for? He said, well, I found carobs that my grandparents planted, and then my grandchildren will also find these. Choni HaMagel asked him, and that's the answer he gave him, that I'm thinking about the future generations, no doubt.
Exactly that point. Rav, thank you so much for joining me and for talking this. And so I wish you Chag Sameach for Tu B'Shvat, and we should see the blossoming, the sweet fruit, and the blossoming of all of our efforts, all the generations back to Avraham Avinu.
Amen.
Very soon.
Bezrat Hashem. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.